Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 839th Ordinary Council meeting of the 12th of November 2025. My name is Mayor John Raven, and I declare this meeting open at 10 a.m. I would like to advise meeting attendees that this meeting is being webcast and audio recorded, and we will kick off proceedings today by inviting students from Everleigh State School to come and do an acknowledgement to country. So if Alkira, Kaylee and Lacey could please come up to the lectern, that would be amazing. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We come from Everleigh State School. I'm Alkira, this is Lacey, and this is Kaylee. We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live.
We acknowledge the shared connections and stories of the Gidjigan, Mananjali, and Yagra peoples.
We pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. We also extend our respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples.
Well done. Thank you very much, ladies. You can take your seat. Give them a round of applause. They were a little bit nervous. They did an amazing job. I would now like to invite Reverend Faye Talatonu from Unity Care to come and open our meeting with a reflection of faith. Thank you very much, Reverend. If you could all stand.
No, that's okay. Please be seated, everyone except for Greg.
All right.
Please be seated. Hello, everyone. So I too would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay my respects to elders past, present and still emerging. And I pray together that we can continue to walk in the path of reconciliation with respect and hope. So firstly, I'd like to thank one of my favourite councillors, Councillor Wilcox, for this invitation, and to Mayor John Raven, thank you for the warm welcome and this wonderful opportunity to share with you this morning. Excuse me. So let me begin by saying talofa lava and good morning and greetings to you all in the name of Jesus Christ. My name is Reverend Faye Talatonu and I'm a minister of the Uniting Church in Australia. But my current role, I have the privilege of serving in the beautiful community of Flagstone as a community ministry leader and the community chaplain at the Flagstone Community Centre, which is managed and operated by the Uniting Church. So in my role, I have the privilege of walking and engaging with the community there at Flagstone to help with local initiatives and helping create spaces that everyone feels welcome, valued and connected. And much of what I do is a ministry of presence, just simply being there for people and listening and journeying with them through their joys and challenges. I don't even know why I'm so nervous. I'm just shaking. Sorry, I had to say that. I'm like out of breath. Okay. So as I thought about what to reflect, and when I was first invited, I had something different in mind. And no, I'm not going to reflect on how we lost on Sunday. But I thought about, because of what to reflect for this morning, kind of changed, because I just came back from one of our church national conferences in Melbourne. And I've just returned from there where I was able to have the opportunity to work with emerging young leaders of helping the next generation dream and shape a shared vision for the future, grounded in the Uniting Church's identity of an intercultural and intergenerational church, and how that identity shapes the way we live, the way we lead, and the way we serve together. So our theme, I thought I'd focus on our theme from that gathering. The theme was Revive to Thrive. And it was inspired by the gospel reading of Luke about a fig tree that was given another chance to grow. So let me share with you this parable from Luke chapter 13, verses 6 to 9. Then he told this parable. A man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came looking for fruit on it and found none. So he said to the gardener, "See here, for 3 years I have come looking for fruit on this fig tree, and still I find none. Cut it down. Why should it be wasting the soil? He replied, "Sir, let it alone for 1 more year until I dig around it and put manure on it. If it bears fruit next year, well and good, but if not, you can cut it down." It's a simple story, but one filled with hope. When others were ready to give up, the gardener chose patience to dig a little deeper, nurture the roots, and believe that something good could still grow. This story reminds me of what so many of you, of all of us, do as leaders in our communities. Sometimes progress, it feels a bit slow, and the needs around us can seem so overwhelming. But through your work, planning, listening and caring, you make room for new life and hope to take shape in our communities. We are the gardeners of this community, helping people and ideas grow even in challenging seasons. So as you meet today, may this story encourage you to keep tending to what matters most, to see potential where others might see obstacles, and to trust that your leadership and compassion are helping our community to revive and thrive. Revive to thrive, those are the words that still stuck with me since returning from our conference. They remind us that revival isn't about returning to the way things used to be. It's about nurturing what is here now and believing that with care, time and hope, something new and beautiful can grow. And as I look around this room, I see the same spirit in our communities and those who serve, those who lead, those who continue to believe in what's possible. Together, we can keep shaping a community where people feel seen, valued, supported, and connected. So as you continue to work for this great city, please know that the church is with you, standing alongside you, praying for you, and grateful for all that you do to help this beautiful city of Logan thrive. Let me pray for you. Gracious and loving God, thank you for this time together and for all who serve in our communities with care and dedication. We especially pray for Mayor John Raven and all the councillors who serve this great city of Logan. May you bless them with wisdom, compassion and strength in every decision they make. May their leadership continue to bring hope, unity and life to the city, and may we all work together to help our community grow, revive and thrive. Amen. Blessings to you all.
Whawhetai, Reverend Faye, thank you very much for those beautiful words and your prayers. I now note that Councillor Fraser has requested a leave of absence for today's meeting. The motion for his leave of absence for medical leave is on the screen. Can someone move that motion? Thank you, Councillor Hall. Seconded by Councillor Wilcox. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. I now refer to condolences. Do any councillors have a condolence to raise today? Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. There's sorry business happening in the community at the moment. Uncle Noel Summers, a Logan elder, a proud former Navy man, leader in the community, builder of connections that address the needs of First Nations people, has sadly passed away. He was a director of social services in our community, advisor, brother, father and uncle to many. On Monday, we farewelled Uncle Noel in a beautiful memorial and poppy service with family and friends, paying respect and tribute to his life and the impact that he had on so many local people. Rest in peace, Uncle Noel. You guided and trained the next generation of change makers very well, and they'll continue your legacy. To his family by blood, his family by heritage, his family by love, we acknowledge your loss and the loss of the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Uncle Noel was a great icon in our city. I remember one of the first times I met him was a long time ago, and he had a great sense of humour. It was while there was some issues going on with unorthodox arrivals by boat, and he said to me, Aboriginal people had problems with boat people too, and we're still putting up with it today. So he always had a very quick wit and a good way of putting things into context. Thank you for sharing those condolences. I'll make sure they're passed on to his family. Do any other councillors have any condolences they'd like to raise today? Councillor Bannon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to pass condolences on to Barbara Ann Fitz-Edward Fogarty. I missed her funeral and only found out she passed away yesterday. And we always caught up at Anzac Days, Remembrance Days, and you Canucks, Councillor Stemp and Councillor Jeremiah sitting beside me is not always ideal. But we always had a good time. She was a beautiful woman. Thank you to Councillor Lane for speaking to me this morning about it. Being a veteran helped a lot. And then, as much as it hurt me having an empty seat, it made me think about all the veterans and families that have lost loved ones to war, which is what we do these days. I'm not a big fan of war like most people, and I think if they're political, maybe the politicians should fight instead, so we don't lose their loved ones. So, went off track there, Mr. Mayor, but could you please send a letter to the Jamumba RSL, because unfortunately she didn't have any kids or siblings, so thank you.
That will be done. Thank you, Councillor Bannon. Are there any further condolences? There being none, we'll now observe a moment of quiet reflection in honour of those who have gone before us and in support of those they have left behind. Thank you. You may be seated. I now open the floor for congratulations. Do any councillors have any congratulations they'd like to raise? Councillor Bradley. Councillor Lane.
Absolutely. The first one, I want to say thank you to all my councillor colleagues and the council in general. We had the first anniversary of the Wilbur Street Youth Centre with Recon running it. In a year, one short year, there have been 40,000 individual entrances into the youth centre by young people. We've had so many people come in and register. We've had hundreds of parents through wanting to check it out to make sure it was a safe space for their kids, and the majority of them immediately registered their children to come. The children, 91% of them say that it's a safe space for them, a space where they can be kids and act like teenagers and not be judged. 92% said that they've tried arts and crafts and other new events that they've never tried before, and they would love to do them again. 94% said that they have had a conversation about the future and career pathways and challenges in their life. So as far as the youth centre is concerned, this is a winner-winner chicken dinner for our area, but it's for our city as well, because it is a wonderful framework by which we can actually look at spreading the love and getting more throughout the city. The kids love it. You watch them of an afternoon on Wembley Road and they are hoiking it down to the youth centre to find out who's done what that day. There have been 0 instances of bullying. One person came to have a Barney and they were shown the door pretty quickly. That's magic. They're fantastic numbers. Our shopping centres don't see kids playing up as much, but they're actually loving it, and it's such a positive thing. We had Michelle Griffin, Noelle, Katie and Renandi down there. I know that a number of councillors and you, Mr Mayor, were there. It was a great celebration of 1 year of activity in our community, and I'm so proud and so grateful to all of you for backing it in, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. I'd also like to recognise the huge amount of work that you did to champion this project, and it would not have been as successful as it was, and it just shows the difference that a local councillor can make when they lean in on something they know is critical for their community, and you deserve all the praise that we can heap on you for being part of this process, because you sat in this room and were very clear about what you did not want because you thought it would ruin it, and you've been shown to be right. You've been shown to be the things that you wanted and the things you wanted to avoid were exactly what your community wanted, so well done. Full props to you. Councillor Russell. Councillor St Ledger.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just want to send a congratulations to the Windaroo Lakes Golf Club. On Monday, they hosted the longest walk for the Cancer Foundation. They raised $52,500 for the Cancer Council of Australia, the highest in the state, second highest in the country. So there'll still be some sore bodies down there after walking 72 holes of golf. So it was a fantastic day for a fantastic cause. I'd also like to congratulate the Windaroo Lakes Golf Club, who've proudly received the Get Into Golf Venue of the Year award. So they won that award. A special mention goes to our active and healthy provider, Janine Barney, for Golf Force for Women. 1,400 women engaged in this throughout the year, so a 33% increase in female membership and participation at the club, supported by our council funding as well. So well done to everyone involved down there.
Fantastic. Thank you, Councillor St. Ledger. Those congratulations will be passed on. Councillor Hall, Jeremiah, Bannon, Stemp, Wilcox.
Thank you so much. Last month I gave 2 congratulations to Gumnut House staff. What I didn't realise is there was actually a third that I totally missed. So I do congratulate Sam McGraw. She's also done 15 years of service at Gumnut House. So combined between 3 ladies, there was 45 years of service, which is an amazing achievement. For a little school, I would like to say, where the kids do before and after school care, and it's always chock-a-block and always full. And they do amazing programs, especially Christmas programs. Even my eldest, who's about to graduate high school, still has fond memories and misses the Christmas craft and stuff that she used to do, as well as Ruby doing all of the excursions. I also have a huge congratulations. I was at the Greenbank RSL sub-branch service for Remembrance Day yesterday, talking to a few of the veterans, and one of them happened to tell me that it was his 80th birthday next week. So a huge congratulations and happy birthday to Dominic Higgins for his 80th birthday next week. He's part of the Greenbank RSL sub-branch, has been for quite some time. Lovely gentleman, also a Division 3 resident, and he also invited you to come along to one of the services down at Greenbank as well, Mindy, when you're free. So congratulations, happy birthday to Dominic, and I have passed those on to the girls. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 today. I just want to shout out to and say congratulations to Showing for Charity Australia on celebrating 10 years. I understand you were there, Mr. Mayor. The All Stitched Up event held on Saturday was a phenomenal success with 643 handmade donated items. Sewing for Charity has over 10,000 volunteers nationwide, and the impact to our community is inspiring. Special congratulations to Cass Gell, she's a long-time friend of mine, for turning her garage dream into a thriving, life-changing charity. So if we can send congratulations to Cass, that would be phenomenal. And lastly, Club Beanley, congratulations to Club Beanley on turning 50 and supporting our community. From humble beginnings in 1975, for those that were born in 1975, at Douth Park, evolving from cricket and tennis roots to a vibrant hub, which now supports many sporting and community groups throughout Logan. They donate a lot of money back through to the community through their raffles. And here's to another 5 decades of growth, sport and connection. So, Mr. Mayor, if you could pass those on, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
I would love to pass on those congratulations. Thank you very much. We'll now move to confirmation of the minutes of the previous ordinary council meeting. There is a motion on the screen. Can someone move that motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor Stemp. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We'll now confirm the minutes of the previous special council meeting, which was held on the 5th of November. Would someone like to move that? The motion is on the screen. Would someone like to move that motion? Thank you, Councillor Hall, seconded by Councillor Bannon. I understand, Councillor Hall, you'd like to make a point of clarification in regards to the minutes.
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe after last week's special council meeting on the 5th of November 2025, I need to set the record straight on a couple of things. In that meeting, I asked councillors to have an open mind, and I introduced into the debate a term we have never really discussed before regarding the low-risk area on the mapping, the lowest area that seems to be covering a fair few properties whose owners say have not flooded and some who believe may never flood. This area is known as the PMF, the probable maximum flood area. The reason I raised in discussion is because having the PMF on the mapping has impacted many residents in my area and your areas in terms of their insurance and how insurers assess our residents' properties. Now, I understand we have no control in here on exactly what criteria an insurer uses to assess a property, but I know for a fact that a lot of residents believe that council's flood mapping plays a part in their assessment. Now, we've all discussed the PMF, and we all generally believe that it would take a very extreme event an event we have never seen before or may ever see in our lifetime, but still potentially having a 1 in 2,000% chance? By definition, the PMF is defined as the flood that may be expected from the most severe combination of critical meteorological and hydrological conditions. It would be the largest flood that could conceivably occur at a specific location. It would be an extremely rare and improbable event used to define the maximum extent of a floodplain. And I argued that the largest flood that could conceivably occur be considered an act of God. And if it was, would that trigger a differing legislation under Queensland law? I argued this because it ties into the validity of the PMF, or should we say the low-risk area of the mapping, not the mapping itself, not the mapping that Council has done and has to do, and not that the mapping or Council's responsibility towards flood mapping and flood mitigation. It was aimed entirely towards the PMF, the low-risk area, not towards what Council does in terms of flood mitigation, not towards anything else, just that. Now, with Council's response, I accept that the Council sees all potential flood risks as a risk that should be shown on the mapping. That in itself is reflected in the prescribed methodology set by the state government. My argument was never to suggest that Council should shelve its responsibilities towards safe flood management, or that we should not have flood mapping at all. That would just be a very unintelligent thing to do. It'd be not a good thing for any council to do. In fact, the history of my argument within flood mapping has always been towards using evidence-based flood mapping, because I believe we know what we know. Where the flood levels go up to is what you show on your mapping. If it goes high, you adjust the mapping to reflect that. But I understand that runs into contrast with what the previous state government asked us to do in terms of having a PMF. Now, my opinions on things can change, okay? I've never really set my goal on something. I've been able to be influenced in
Councillor
other
Hall,
decisions.
I'm going to need you to make the point of clarification instead of having a conversation about flood mapping.
In summary, I would like to say that council has sometimes debated things, but that in itself should not be taken as a position of the whole of council or other councillors. When we vote on a matter, the result that we arrive to is the position of council. Council has never said it was going to use force majeure to shelve its flood mapping responsibilities. So please, I ask people, if you own a Facebook website, don't post on there that council's going to use acts of God or force majeure as a way to shelve its flood mapping responsibility. That was never said. In saying that, or even making a petition to even suggest that, is really misleading the community. So I just wanted to set the record straight on that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. The motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Councillors will now move to declarations of conflict of interest. If any councillors wish to declare any new conflicts of interest against any items on today's agenda, including any conflicts which have subsequently arisen from previous discussions at committee? No? Excellent. We have no business arising from the minutes to consider. We'll now move into consideration of committee minutes and recommendations. I refer to the City Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 4th of November 2025. Councillor Bennon, you had a huge agenda. Tell me that you're going to speak to it for 15 or 20 minutes. You may proceed.
Of course, Mr. Mayor. I do want to give a shout out because we had no recommendations because the business is running smooth. I do want to give a massive shout out to Director Darryl Riley, who's taken a lot bigger workload, especially from me, getting phone calls pretty much every day and meeting me 3 times a week. I'm working on what he can do towards flood mapping and making it better for the residents. So Darryl Riley, your efforts are acknowledged, appreciated, and it's a thankless job, right? Like ours is sometimes, but mate, you're doing a really good job, and I can't thank you enough for the extra effort that you put in to try and help the community. Over back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bennon. Do any other councillors wish to speak to that report? There being none, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I now move that the recommendations of the City Infrastructure Committee held on the 4th of November be adopted.
Councillor Bennon has moved the motion on the screen. Councillor St Ledger has seconded that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. I now refer to the City Governance Committee meeting held on the 4th of November 2025. Councillor Jackson, chairperson of that committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll now speak to the recommendations for our committee. Last Tuesday, the City Governance Committee met to consider 13 reports. Among the matters considered were the audited financial statements for the Underwood Innovation Lab, the City of Logan Charitable Trust, and Greenovate. The Charitable Trust also delivered its quarterly financial update for April to June 2025. The committee considered the risk appetite statements for adoption and discussed the Audit and Risk Committee report for September 2025. A confidential report regarding the merchant surcharge was also on the agenda. The local infrastructure report for November 2025 was presented, outlining a number of new projects. The monthly financial performance report for September 2025 indicating an operating surplus of $27.53 million. An overview of Council's investment portfolio performance for the quarter ending 30 September 2025 was provided, and quarter one updates were presented for both the operational plan and the digital transformation program. The committee also considered phase 2 of Council's policy modernisation project, which proposed to adopt the draft for the city shape, mobility and infrastructure policy, the thriving communities policy, and the waste and energy policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Do any other councillors wish to speak to any items on that agenda? Councillor Wilcox.
No, I just wanted to make a clarification on the minutes. On 6.12, I abstained, and I did provide a reason, but it's just not on the records that I abstained due to point 17, if I could get that added.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. That amendment will be made. Yep, I've got the nod. Any other councillors wish to speak to the report? There being none, Councillor Jackson, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I now move that the recommendations of the City Governance Committee meeting held on 4th of November 2025 be adopted.
Councillor Jackson has moved the motion on the screen. Can someone second that motion for me, please? Thank you, Councillor Stemp. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Would any councillors like to mark their name against or abstain from any reports on the agenda? Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wish to abstain from 6.12 and 3 and also 6.12, and I gave a reason why.
That will be noted. Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Stemp.
Mr. Mayor, I abstain from item 6.8.
Thank you, Councillor Stemp. That will be noted. Councillor Wilcox.
And abstain against 6.12.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. That will be noted. And Councillor Heremiah.
Against 6.12.
Thank you, Councillor Heremiah. All that will be noted in the minutes. I now refer to the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee meeting held on the 5th of November. Councillor Stemp, chairperson of that excellent committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I note that Councillors Russell and Hall declared conflicts of interest against item 6.2, where they chose to voluntarily leave the meeting whilst the matter was discussed and voted on. Therefore, item 6.2 will be addressed first and separated from the bulk adoption.
Thank you, Councillor Stemp. We'll do that first. So, Councillors Russell and Hall, if you could please leave the chamber. We'll call you back in when we've finished the discussion. Councillor Stemp, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I now refer to item 6.2, the 2025-26 Environmental Initiatives Update, and I'll now speak to the recommendations. The report sought Council's endorsement to refocus 2025-26 environmental levy funds previously allocated for purchasing carbon credits and the endorsement of the urban land acquisition for environmental purposes prioritisation methodology. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stemp. Do any other councillors wish to speak to item 6.2? There being none, Councillor Stemp has moved the motion. Can I have someone second the motion on the screen? Thank you, Councillor Bannon. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried with the exception of Councillor Bradley. How do you vote?
Mr. Mayor, I abstain and I gave a reason why.
Thank you. That will be noted. All other councillors are in favour. The motion is carried. Let's bring Councillors Russell and Hall back in so we can consider the remainder of the recommendations. Councillor Stemp, you may proceed.
Thank you, you, Mr Mayor. Item 6.2 included a presentation from Healthy Land and Water, where they provided council with a 2025 Ecosystem Health Monitoring Program Report Card, which brings together the latest scientific monitoring data of our waterways across southeast Queensland and highlights a range of local projects making a real difference and celebrating the people and places driving positive change. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Stemp. Do any other councillors wish to speak to the remainder of the report? There being none, Councillor Stemp, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now move that the recommendation that the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee meeting held on the 5th of November 25, with the exception of 6.2, be adopted.
Councillor Stemp has moved the motion on the screen. Can someone second that motion? Thank you, Councillor Bannon. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Would any councillors like to record their name against or abstain from any of the remaining reports in the agenda? Councillor Bradley?
Sorry, beg pardon. It was 6.2. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. That one's already been addressed, so we'll proceed. Councillors will now move to the City Lifestyle Committee meeting held on the 5th of November. Councillor Hall, chairperson of that committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll now speak to the recommendations. Last week's City Lifestyle Committee meeting was jam-packed with councillors receiving 5 public reports.
Councillor Hall, can I get you to deal with item 6.2 first, as there's conflicts of interest in that item?
My apologies, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I note that Councillor Jackson and Councillor Murphy declared conflicts of interest against items within the City Lifestyle Committee meeting, where they chose to voluntarily leave the meeting whilst the matter was discussed and voted on. Therefore, these items will be addressed first and separated from the bulk adoption.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. We're going to do 6.2 first. Can I please ask that Councillor Jackson leave the chamber while we consider item 6.2? Let the record show that Councillor Jackson tucked in his chair. Councillor Hall, you may now speak to item 6.2.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now refer to item 6.2, determination of the Community Benefit Fund request, Star Community Services Ltd, CBF 0833. I'll now speak to the recommendation. CBF is the CBF is a discretionary fund that allows councillors to provide financial assistance to eligible community organisations for community purpose. In cases where the applicant is based outside of the City of Logan, the request is presented to council for determination. For each of these, considering funding for support significant activities across our city. These fantastic initiatives will strengthen cultural connections, enhance the community access to services and bolster local businesses.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Would you like to move the motion that's now on the screen?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that council supports the allocation of $2,420 through the Community Benefit Fund to Star Community Services Ltd TD, as detailed in the report titled Determination of Community Benefit Fund Request, Star Community Services.
Thank you. For efficiency, you can say so moved in future. Councillor Bradley would like to speak to the report.
Thank you.
Would you like to second it to speak to it, or you want someone else to second it? Councillor Bannon seconded it. Councillor Bradley, you may proceed.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor. Through the committee, during the committee process, I actually asked a question because this organisation is within the city, so I'm not sure if that has been clarified since committee to now.
I've received a shake of the head from Director White at the back, so it hasn't been clarified at this point in time, and on their paperwork, they indicated they weren't in the city, which is why we consider it this way. The motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried with the exception of Councillor Bradley. How do you vote? And Councillor Stemp, sorry.
I'm just trying to find where my notes are. Have you got that? And I gave a reason.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Stemp.
Mr Mr Mayor, I also abstain from this item.
That will be noted. Thank you, councillors. The motion has been carried. We'll now invite Councillor Jackson to return to the chamber. I can see you're itching to go, Councillor Hall. You just got to wait till he's back on deck. Councillor Hall, you may now address item 6.3. Before you do so, I'll ask that Councillor Murphy leave the chamber until this item is concluded. Councillor Hall, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's very rare that we have these in the Lifestyle Committee, but sometimes we do. I now refer to item 6.3, determination of community benefit fund request, Bentley Yatala Chamber of Commerce in CBF 0870, and I'll now speak to recommendations, which is essentially what I've just previously said before. So, second verse, same as the first.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Would you like to move the motion on the screen?
Yes, please, Mr Mayor.
So moved. Excellent. Love it. Would someone like to second that motion? Thank you, Councillor Bradley. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That motion has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We can now invite Councillor Murphy to return to the chamber, and then you can speak to the remainder of your recommendations, Councillor Hall. If you just hold fire for about 20 seconds. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Additionally, councillors were presented with 2 reports on the first quarter of capital achievements from our parks, sports and community branches. These reports provided councillors with an overview of the progress by each branch across the first quarter. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now move that the recommendations of the City Lifestyle Committee meeting on the 5th of November be adopted.
Councillor Hall has moved the motion on the screen. Would someone like to second that motion? Thank you, Councillor Russell. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. The motion is carried. Would any councillors like to record their name against or abstain from any of those remaining reports? There being none, we'll now move to council reports, which we have none of, and we also have no late reports to consider, but we do have 2 petitions to consider today. Starting with the first petition, which is item 13.1, anti-hooning devices for Chambers Flat Road. Do any councillors wish to speak to this motion? Noting that you can't debate, so be careful. Councillor Bannon.
Could I explain why what they're asking for does not work in any way, shape or form? Would that be debating?
That would feel like debating.
Okay, thank you. I should retract that statement.
You can express your you can express that through the way that you vote. A motion is displayed on the screen, councillors, that the petition titled anti-hooning devices for Chambers Flat Road be received. I will move that motion. Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Russell has seconded the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried with the exceptions of Councillor Hall and Bannon. How do you vote?
I'd abstain from this one.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Councillor Bannon?
Against.
Thank you, councillors. We'll now move to the next petition, which is item 13.2, traffic calming for Carigna Street, Crestmead. I refer to this petition. Do any councillors wish to speak to this petition? There being none, I will move the motion on the screen that the petition titled Traffic Calming for Carigna Street, Crestmead be received. Would someone like to second that motion? Thank you, Councillor Heremiah, as the Divisional Councillor, has seconded that motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Councillors, we have no notified motions to consider, and so we will move into general business today. Because it is November, we will start with Division 11, and Councillor Wilcox will speak first.
Thank you so much, Mr Mayor. Over the past few months, we've all heard from countless residents regarding flood mapping. And those residents who have contacted me and spoken to me have told me they're confused, frustrated, and in some cases, devastated by the implications of our updated flood maps. The most common phrase I've heard from residents is, "It's never flooded on my property." And that, for me, is the heart of the issue. We're relying on flood mapping from 1974, 2017 and 2022 and these new proposed flood maps, and each of them have their own limitations. These maps, while developed with the best of intentions, do not always reflect the lived experience of our community. Properties that have remained dry through cyclones, storms and decades of rainfall are now being classified as high risk or medium risk. The disconnect between modelling and reality is not just a technical issue, it's also a human one. The inclusion of the 1 in 2,000 flood year events and the PMF and the climate change scenarios in our planning scheme is, in my view, overly cautious. These are hypothetical events with a 0.05 chance of occurring in any given year, and yet they're being used to shape development restrictions, and in my personal opinion, they're influencing insurance premiums. If BOM can't predict our weather right a day or two in advance, how are we accurately predicting a 1 in 2,000 flood? And if we were to ever see a PMF flood event, my questions have always remained the same. Where are we going? Where are we evacuating to? Where is Noah's Ark? Because we're going to need it, because our beautiful city will be underwater. Let me be clear, I understand the importance of planning for future risks. But when our modelling begins to resemble, and I've always said this, a what-if scenario, rather than a reflection of our actual flood behaviour, I believe we must ask, is this helping or harming our community? The unintended consequences of our current flood mapping are already being felt. Residents are reporting insurance premium hikes of 200%, some reaching $10,000 or $20,000 annually, and some are not able to get coverage now altogether. While insurers claim they use a range of data sources, I'm assuming that our council flood overlays are being referenced, whether or not it's officially or unofficially. Our maps are contributing to an insurance crisis. That's why I did vote in favour of the independent review of the Logan City Council's flood mapping. But whilst the review may not provide the community what they actually want, which is a review of the flood mapping itself, it is a step forward and will review the methodology of the flood mapping used. I believe we also need to wait for the state government to reassess the need of the inclusion of the PMF and the 1 in 2,000 events when they review their SPP. Clear disclaimers, I think, need to be on our council maps, and whilst they are, I think we need to go that step further and tell the insurance companies that they're not to be used for insurance rating purposes. We need the insurance companies to show residents the methodology, how they're building in their insurance increases, and what information they're using to justify these. I also believe much more ground truthing is required. How many residents have the companies who've so far provided these flood maps spoken to? Or have they just sat behind a computer screen and computer-modelled flood water flows? I love an excursion, I love getting out there, and I love talking to people. I think they should do the same. I have a resident who moved into South Maclean in 1972. She has pegs in her yard for every major flood event that has occurred in her yard. She would sit in the yard at night and wait for the flood water to start to recede, and when it did, she stuck a peg in the ground. Her pegs are similar to Tully Park, but she ground truthed it and she was there. She knows where the waters rose to. But I don't think anyone was sitting there at night watching the waters recede out of Tully Park. We owe it to our residents to get this right, because when a map starts to dictate whether someone can insure their home or make improvements to their home and land, we need to ensure that our flood mapping is accurate, fair and fit for purpose, not just for today, but for tomorrow and the future of Logan. Thanks. On another note, on a much cheerier note, I would like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, as I won't be here for the December round and I'm not allowed to dial in due to how our meeting code is written. I'll be back before Christmas, but I won't make any of the city's main events, which I'm devastated about. So please have a Merry, Merry Christmas. To my wonderful residents of Division 11, please have a wonderful Christmas. Enjoy the festive season. To those finishing grade 12 this week and next week, my own daughter is sitting upstairs. She was being a Scrooge and didn't want to come down today, but she is watching upstairs. So those of you that are going on schoolies, please stay safe and good luck on your journeys. Thank you.
Where will you be, Councillor Wilcox?
I might be in London for schoolies with my eldest.
That's awesome. That's great. Councillor Murphy. Councillor Bradley's not here. Councillor Lane.
Toolies in London, what a wonderful opportunity. So I've got two sections on general business today. The first is to actually let people know about community events that everyone's welcome to come along to. On Saturday the 15th, this Saturday, the Disaster Management Family Fun Day is happening at Gould Adams Park. And Director Riley, I'd like for you to pass my thanks on to your team. What they've done is they've actually translated our disaster documents into multiple languages, the most common used languages in the community, and we've started dispersing those. So when it comes to disasters, people will be ready, which is wonderful. On the 22nd of November, Queensland Amputees is having their Christmas party at Ben Matthews Playground. Everyone's welcome. There's a small cost to cover the meal, and there's always a very good time had there. On Thursday, the 27th of November, happening in Councillor Russell's area, just across the road from mine on Two Corners, is the Hope Centre Community Connect Christmas Lunch. And the team at the Hope Centre do a wonderful job of actually making sure that people feel included, people who are socially isolated and people that are extraordinarily lonely can come and have a meal there. Obviously, the Christmas carols is happening and that's all good stuff. The second item that I wanted to raise is we have an issue in our local community that people are complaining about, and it is the increase of trucks in suburban streets that are being parked at night, during the day, and for days at a time. They're being parked out the front of parks up in Underwood, Springvale Park. I went and investigated it myself. 4 trucks parked there, none with registration plates, and I watched as people pulled up in a car, got into those trucks and started driving, and drove them around to the other side of Underwood and again parked them, and they were still there 2 days later. So this is not your average Joe that's been living there 20 years that has his tipper and his dog and he reverses it into his yard every day. They're fine. Their neighbours know who they are. These are people that just plonk trucks down in suburban streets that are quite narrow, and they're creating traffic hazards for local community members. Now, my plan today is to actually ask council whether or not we can do some out of hours coordination on actually checking the parking habits of individuals, particularly truck drivers in our local streets. And the reason for that is predominantly it is happening after hours and on weekends when council officers aren't working. So, CEO, I'm raising this as a matter of concern. On Friday last week, I was lodging jobs, and in Camellia Avenue in Kingston, 4 trucks parked on one small suburban street, 2 parked the wrong way down the street, 1 on the footpath, an old mate sitting in his truck in the middle of the road telling me to drive up a footpath to go round him. I don't think so. So we've actually got to get on top of this. Residents are actually concerned about the dangers of having trucks in suburban streets. Those who live there and have lived there a long time genuinely behave responsibly and they park inside their properties. But those ones that are just smattering them throughout the road as storage spaces, it's not okay, so we need to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillor Russell, Councillor St Ledger, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. And I'd back Councillor Lane on the heavy vehicle parking issues in our streets. But I am here to speak about the Logan Pest Fishing Cup coming to Division 5 again at JJ Smith Park. We're getting rid of the carp and tilapia. It's a great competition that brings hundreds of competitors down to JJ Smith Park and goes along the creek that I share with Councillor Lane. And so you're invited to come down, come watch them fish. There's limited space in terms of entering the competition, but the whole community is welcome to come down and enjoy the activities down there. I'll have my tent down there with some great activities for the kids. So come on down on the 23rd, 8 till 12 a.m., 8 a.m. till 12 p.m. On the 23rd of November at JJ Smith Park. Thank you.
It's a great day, Councillor Jackson. And will there be a kayak that could be won?
There will be.
Oh, so all you got to do is pick up a whole bunch of litter to win a kayak. So I know that councillors who like to enjoy the Logan River will be down there picking up litter all through Scrubby Creek in Division 5. Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Something I missed in congratulations, but worth mentioning, both Logan Lee State High School and Windaroo Valley State High School have had their award ceremony, so just acknowledging those and acknowledging the students. We had Audrey Monroe who took out the Ducks for 2025. That's a great accomplishment because very high achievers at Logan Lee State High School, extremely good. Now, I'll just let everyone know, I know that Councillor Jeremiah has a bit of a reputation of having the most mobile officers, but I'm here to challenge that because I'm just in the process now of dropping off my fridge magnets, and I believe when I do this, I'm actually doing a mobile office because I'm travelling to every single house within my division and I'm putting something in their box, and there's an opportunity there for any resident to have a discussion with me while I'm on my journey. And I've done this pretty much for 5 years. I do the entire division And this is great because I get to see all the issues, all the roads, all the footpaths, everything that I might, and I put in a snap, send, resolve straight to council. So that's just something that I do, and I fund those magnets and completely out of my own pocket. It's not something that council pays for. Just once. So if you see someone hobbling around with a big Bunnings hat dressed in blue, don't be too concerned. That's just your local councillor going around handing out his fridge magnets. Now, just one more thing I want to touch on, and it's Movember, okay? And I'm doing my part. I might look like I've just crawled out of bed and forgot to shave, but I'm actually trying to grow some facial hair so I can cut it off. And I'm not sure if I'm meant to be shaving off the hair that grows as it happens.
You are, mate. Why did you look at Councillor Lane when you did that? That's what I'm concerned about. Oh, it was Councillor Russell he was looking at. You should be shaving off the other hair, mate. It's Movember, not beard member.
Okay. Thanks for that. Thanks for that confirmation. I'll probably lose some points of attractiveness towards my partner, but I'm happy to put a task. Now I'm doing my part. I know Rowan Holzenberger. I saw him last night at the Windaroo Valley Award. He's grown a magnificent moustache. I had to do a double take. I actually thought Burt Reynolds had walked into the room. For the kids at home who don't know who Burt Reynolds is, go see the movie Deliverance. It's a fantastic movie. Doesn't have a moustache in it though. Back onto point. I would say I'm doing my part. Rowan's doing his part. The Bethania Community Centre, they're doing their part. They've got a little bit of a group that I'm involved with, which are also doing that. They're doing their part. I think for the community, it's your chance to do your part for Movember, and please donate. And there's something I want to talk about, and it's a bit about the number one killer of men in Australia is coronary heart disease, but I'm going to question that. I actually believe the number one killer of men is actually silence. And what I'm going to say is my father is, old generation Australian. They just were taught, they were trained to swallow their pain and not to talk about their problems, okay? And I've only ever seen my father cry 3 times in his whole entire life. Once at my grandfather's funeral, once when my mother said he couldn't buy any more trains, and once when he told me that he had terminal cancer. Those are the only 3 times I ever saw that man cry. And I think that are the conversations that we could have had if he'd been raised a bit differently, if he'd been raised to discuss his problems. How much more time would have I had to my father to ask the things that I really wanted to ask from him? So I believe this cause is worthy because it does get men to talk. It gets men to talk about their issues. So please, it's great to joke around about Movember, but please donate. It's a well-worthy cause, and they're doing great things to get men to talk, and they're focusing on men's problems, and there's very few things that do that. A Sledge could testify for that.
Councillor Sledge.
Councillor Sledge could testify to that. So that's what I'm saying. Please donate, dig into those pockets. Thank you, Mr Mayor. That's my general business.
Thank you, Councillor Hall, for that extensive general business. Councillor Haramiah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I rise today to speak on a local win in Division 8. Now, within the next month, there will be major resurfacing going on in our local area. Over 1,258 metres of Logan Reserve Road will be resurfaced. Over 300 metres of Park Ridge Road will be resurfaced, and over 579 metres of Clark Road will be resurfaced. Now, that adds up to over 2 kilometres of resurfacing happening on our local roads within the next month. Resurfacing's good, but we also need upgrades. And tonight at 6 p.m. in Logan Metro, I'm hosting a community meeting where we'll be going through the different road upgrade projects in our area, and I'll be explaining what's happening with these projects, where's the funding coming from, and what's the next step to get it done. I'd like to invite everyone in the community to come on down to Logan Metro, and I hope to see you there tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haramiah. Councillor Bradley, you were out of the room when your GB rolled around. Do you have any GB? All good. Thank you. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just on the topic that you said, don't forget that on Friday night, it's not just Movember, it's International Men's Day on Tuesday, and myself and Councillor St Ledger are hosting an event for International Men's Day with all the funds going to the ACFC Men's Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Charity. So Not many councillors are coming at this stage, but if you'd like to jump in, we've got one table left and then we've sold out 3 years in a row. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bennett and Councillor Stemp. I will finish off with a vote of thanks to some staff that have done amazing work throughout the draft Logan Plan consultation. I want to give a huge shout out, and Director Hanson, if you could pass on my gratitude to Christian Parks and his team, and Director Riley to Megan Gould and her team. This team has been going above and beyond to both provide advice to councillors throughout the process to be able to answer questions, but also to field submissions and feedback from residents. We've had over 4,000 submissions, and it will take literally months to go through that. So they've done a 9-week sprint to get as much information from the community as possible. And then people like Sharon Angus and Nardine Bird and Dominic and Cheryl, they will have to now do a marathon to actually go through all of those submissions and respond to them. Councillors are very eager to see the outcomes of those submissions, but I just wanted to personally, and I know on behalf of all the councillors here as well, say thank you to those teams. I know that they have that they've been experiencing a fair bit of stress through the process because the community is stressed, and they've been absorbing that. And we appreciate what they're going through, and we thank them for their diligence and hard work, and just want them to know that while we're eager to see the outcomes of the submissions, we understand it will take time and that they will need some time with their families over Christmas as well, and I'm sure the community appreciates that too. But on behalf of all of us, thank you very much to those teams. Thank you so much for everything that they've done and been through over the next 9 weeks. We know it's been hard, but it's important and it's worth it. So please pass on my thanks and the thanks of the Chamber to those staff. Thank you. Councillor Bradley.
Mr Mayor, just if I may add, Christian Parks came to 2 of my mobile offices and he was just amazing. I think Division 1 submitted a lot of submissions because we received 3 winners through the colouring competition out of 10. So that's pretty good for the ratio in relation to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. There being no further general business, it's McHappy Day on Saturday, so get out and buy a Big Mac to support Ronald McDonald House. I declare the meeting closed at 10:57 a.m. Thank you, councillors.